Everybody in Nigeria have technically became civil servants, and we all are dipping our hands into a big bowl called federal resources, and nobody is adding to it, and nobody is asking the questions. The ASUU people are not going to be happy because their demands are never going to be met, and if one is met now, another problem will come, and everybody will say, look, we need to get more. ASUU people are not the only ones striking. The doctors are striking. Everybody is striking, and the labor people are threatening. But then, why don't we have a choice. We either become communists and know that you can only take what the government gives you and nothing more, or we try to be more productive and say, look, how do we make universities sustain themselves? How many patents are Nigerian universities churning out? You understand what I'm saying? Have a set of sound system there that was made by Swedish university students. Patents are made. If you use any of the products there, you pay them. Same thing, South Korea, America. What we need to do is to start saying we need to be innovative. We need to stop depending on just digging resources and then spending it. The people do not realize that the best natural resources that Nigeria has is a pool of millions and millions of educated young men and women who can read and write. Why don't you ask yourself, why does Nigerians thrive in other climes? You understand? Nigerians are probably the most successful immigrants in the world. We get grounds that are able to let us thrive, use our brains, and then we become stars. But then we are back here, we are restricted. How can anybody just think that a government that says, I am actually going to win the next election by being corrupt? How can anybody think that Oluyede should sit down within a party that cannot even conduct simple primaries of one man, one vote? And people who are leading that are people who have traveled the world, so they said, who have education. So that is the bane of the problem. There is nowhere in the world where other people make choices of government for them and they thrive, because the choices are going to always be wrong. It is only going to serve one purpose. Everybody who chooses to put somebody else in power is not going to choose a wrong person. And that's the truth. It's only one person's mind. And you know the interesting thing in Ekiti, when I started coming to politics, do you know the question every politician would ask me? Tano Magbe means nobody has a will. So somebody in Lagos, whoever he is, or Ibadan or Abuja, will tell Ekiti people of 2.5 million that is who you are going to use. And everybody will toe in line. So you find out that we've made choices that are wrong all the time. And that's why no questions are being asked. There are parties in this state now that maybe about 8 or 9 people went in there and there's no choice allowed. And how did you arrive at that person? How do anybody feel there's a sense of fairness in Ekiti right now that has 3 senatorial zones, and some people, because they've clutched to power and have formed a clique and are denying more than a third of other people to say, look, we want to belong. And then they tell you, no, we can't find anybody in the south. You can't find, or you cannot recognize there's a difference, or you do not have the capacity to recognize. So if you do not have the capacity to even recognize fairness? How can you develop the capacity to manage? If you've been sitting down for 26 years managing an economy that is not growing, and it is going to take 50 years for you to realize that what you are sitting down and managing is not even moving. And the truth about it is that what Ekiti is doing right now is that we are pretending that something is moving. We have actually engaged our gear to R in your car. We are looking forward and pressing the accelerator and telling ourselves the car is moving. Yes, it is going to be moving, but we are fast accelerating backwards and not forward. And we will be deceiving ourselves that we are moving. Yes, we are moving, we are retarding. So the reason why the universities are like that is that they are just an extension of the civil service. They themselves have not bothered to be productive because there is no incentive to do that. The university will depend on whether we like it or not. We are going to get, what do they call it? They don't call it allocation. They use a word for it. So the government, subvention. So they depend on subvention. Whereas you find out that places like Harvard will depend on what the professors and the students innovate on. They will depend on grants for researches. They will depend on endowments from old students that have done well in their lives and feel Harvard made them their way. They will depend on investments on things. They will depend on school fees that the government will help people to pay. Either the students are going to take a loan or they have rich parents that are paying for it. Then they develop a very acutely tough and intense selection that only the best are able to go there. And it wouldn't depend on, I know the professor, or my father is a big shot. So we need to start defending or defining quality. You understand what I'm saying? We need to start asking ourselves, how do we get the best people and the right people in the right place at the right time? And the question I'm asking Ekiti today is that, look at the field. Do we have the right people? Do we have people who are capable of rescuing Ekiti?